I think this means that we need to have a conversation real quick about whataboutism, what the tu quoque fallacy is, and what happens when you engage in it. Not to mention a category error. Alrighty, I have not covered anti-vax stuff in a while because after a bit, a lot of people stopped talking about COVID, which means they stopped talking about COVID vaccines, which means we kind of stopped having these conversations at all on the internet for a little bit. But, I mean, it's not completely over, right? It's never completely over. There's always going to be more. So, there's this TikTok that it's one of those honest questions for liberals. I've questions for liberals type of things. So I want to see if we can have some fun with it. We'll take a look at it, see what there is to see with it. But first, the fan art section. We have from Pernia said, Vice Rhino needs to be careful of Suris' fan base. Easter is coming, so that means anime bunny girls. So for those who don't know, I was on Vice Rhino's channel a few times in the last few months, and this last time, apparently, we have now fan art coming from it. When I appear on people's channels, they get corrupted. That's how it works. The next one we have is from Knitted Cryptic that said it's an update of Slime Suris. Slime Suris now has a friend and still need to buy colors for most of the rest. So I see the frog and just maybe it's just the part of me that watched Smiling Friends, but I'm just seeing the frog going, "Hi, Mr. Frog. I ate the slime. I love you." Anyway, the next one we have is from, scrolling down to it, Dreamers said, a funny little slime Suris after all this time again. And it's even doing a blep. One good slime Suris blep. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. And with that said, this woman has some questions for liberals, and she got her son in on it too. Let's
liberals, I get you support Ukraine,
okay,
but did you know that in Ukraine only 34% of people are vaccinated?
And who cares? Like, don't get me wrong, there should be more people who are vaccinated in general, but supporting Ukraine against being invaded by a foreign nation, trying to take it over and annex it like Crimea, is categorically different than talking about, you know, vaccinations and health epidemics. Palamondo, thank you for giving me your points for an owl. And Hatsune Juni, thank you very much as well for your own owl. Before we go further, okay, let's go ahead and continue. There's got to be more here.
Which means 76% of people chose not to get the vaccine.
66% of people. You can't do math.
So when y'all were saying all the unvaccinated deserve to die, or they should be gassed or hung and don't deserve medical care.
Wait a minute. Who? Hold on. Let's take a minute to analyze all of that. All vaccinated deserve to die? Who says that? Who actually says that? I have literally never seen that take where somebody goes, if you're unvaccinated, you deserve to die. I can't think of any liberals that are actually saying that. Past that, outside of somebody like sarcastically joking like an asshole, deserve to be gassed? Really? Gassed. Can you find me the point where somebody legitimately said that all unvaccinated people deserve to be gassed? Yeah, that went from 0 to 1,000 in 0.5 seconds. I agree, Palamondo. That was, okay. The last part, or don't deserve medical care. Let's go ahead and talk about this in a vacuum. I believe that if somebody is unvaccinated, they still deserve medical care. Just like I believe that if somebody gets in a car, which is something they consented to, they deserve medical care if they get in a crash. Not getting vaccinated is an active choice, and one of the end results of that choice could be you catching a particularly bad strain of COVID. Getting in a car is a choice, and one of the end results of that could be you getting in a car crash. I believe the medical care system should help both sets of people. This is also the foundation for my want for literally any kind of healthcare, up into including abortions. Said, how many people in Ukraine have access to vaccines? Right now? Good question. Most of them are probably trying to worry about access to, electricity at the moment. So I don't know how you get from 0 to 1,000. Also, did you guys notice how the mom finished her statement, waited, and then the son realized after like a solid 10 seconds? Oh, I was supposed to say a thing too, right? Fuck. I got it. Like watch. There's this whole time.
So when y'all
76% of people chose not to get the vaccine.
1, 2, 3.
so
There's like that moment of realization, like, oh shit, I was supposed to say words.
Is that what you're saying?
Who are you even talking to at this point? Who is saying that? There is a conversation to be had about the morality of not getting vaccinated when there is a guarantee that if you're not vaccinated, well, not a guarantee, but there's a higher likelihood that you will be a burden on the medical system. But all those same arguments can be made about any choice. Does somebody not deserve to be operated on if they are a smoker, for instance, if they develop lung cancer, things like that. Like, I don't think that most people who are liberal and are in favor of, at the very least, universal single-payer healthcare systems, I don't think they don't want unvaccinated people to actually be helped. Not to mention, there are unvaccinated people who are not unvaccinated because they don't want to be, but because they have autoimmune diseases and things like that. I just feel like they've made up a guy.
We're just curious. We want to know.
They're just curious. They want to know, guys.
Or can you maybe stand by your fellow Canadians that are also unvaccinated now?
Standing by your fellow Canadians who are unvaccinated and standing by citizens of a country being invaded by a foreign force are two completely different things. These are not even mildly congruent with one another.
I mean, that's kind of dumb that y'all think that it's okay to go after Canadians, but it's completely fine for Ukrainians to be unvaccinated. It's not like they're lacking medical care either.
They're being shelled by tanks right now. They're being shelled at the moment. I'm sorry when you say they're not lacking in medical care, dude. Hospitals have been bombed. I think there's some inhibitors on their medical care right now. It's also kind of agitating. I don't know the age of the son here, but it feels weird having him roped into this. I feel like all of this is just an extension of the mom's points. The video's too quiet. So the mom, when she speaks, it peaks into the red. When the son speaks, it's a lot harder to hear because the son's way further away from the microphone. Producers, they are not.
They're a fully developed country with a strong leader. They can do whatever they need to do to get the vaccine out. But they chose not to actually get the vaccine. And
do you know that? Do you know the actual circumstances behind why only 34% of Ukrainians are vaccinated? Do you actually know that, or are you just extrapolating on it? Because I don't know. The difference here is I'm actually going to be honest about not knowing that.
now you're supporting them, so why can't you support us?
You're not being invaded by a foreign nation. That's why I don't know how this is hard to understand. You're not being invaded by Russia, my guy. That's it. Like, supporting an unvaccinated Canadian. Supporting what? Supporting your stupid ass decision? Like, what am I supporting? I'm supporting you being an idiot? Okay. Supporting Ukraine, what does that mean? Oh, sending anti-tank missiles so that they can protect themselves from being shelled. Boy, howdy. These manifest in different ways. If you really do think these are the same thing, though, I mean, honestly, if that's what you think, then I'm perfectly fine, sending you a couple of rifles, maybe some rounds. You need tanks too, right? Do you need some aircrafts as well? I can imagine you need some aircraft. I mean, these are the same thing, right? These are so perfectly analogous. Will aircraft help? Do you need air support? Do you need to join NATO? Does your household need to join NATO?
This is also coming from my 13-year-old.
It's coming from your 13-year-old because you told him to. A point coming from a child does not make it more or less correct. It just makes us wonder why the fuck you roped them into it.
This is also coming from my 13-year-old. We're just curious.
We're just curious. Why send missiles when we can send vaccine? Facepalm. Yeah, this is just whataboutism. That's all this is. Do they think the progressive Russians are invading to force the vaccine? Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know, it's not a super, like, important video. There's not a whole lot to really go over besides just that. I figured it'd be just kind of a fun one to look into. I do want to look at the quote retweets. For this, just because I'm curious. Not only are they anti-vaxxers, but they are stupid. Well, yeah. Ignoring the fact you can't do simple math, what do vaccinations have to do with supporting Ukraine? This is a problem I have with people. Just because you look attractive, it doesn't mean you're intelligent. Another reason why our justice system in America is messed up, because attractive people get lesser sentences. This woman and her child are idiots. Well, don't get vaccinated. Sit on it and rotate. Okay? Between the obvious stupidity, her basic math. A lot of people seem to be knocking her for the math specifically. The thing that's blowing my mind is the makeup magically moving from the sun to the lady like 5 seconds in. Wait, what? Hold on, what are they talking about?
Did you know? I get you support Ukraine.
What? I didn't even catch that. What?
Liberals. I get you support Ukraine.
Oh no, it literally does. Look at his face. You can actually see it disappear and just pop over. What the fuck? Yeah, it's a filter. What is the point of using that filter? It's not doing any favors at that point. It can't decide if it's going to you or your son. Yeah, no, that's a filter fuck up. That's not helping anybody. But don't worry, we need the filter to make our arguments better. Jesus. So was actual makeup too much of a hassle? I guess. I'm never going to tell somebody that they need to put on makeup or need to present a certain way, but when your filter farks up, at the very least, that should be the idea. The idea should be planted in your head that maybe you should have another take. Try again next time. To be totally fair, am on board with less use of makeup. So good job. The existence of Twitter. I think this means that we need to have a conversation real quick about whataboutism. What the tu quoque fallacy is and what happens when you engage in it. Not to mention a category error. These are both things that this kind of video brings up, and we need to talk about both of them. Because we can just say, hey, person in video stupid, but we don't get a whole lot from that, right? So let's start with whataboutism. Whataboutism, also known as tu quoque, it's a discussion technique where you intend to discredit someone's argument by attacking personal behavior of them. You can also be called an appeal to hypocrisy. Really, really easy way. If you are in a conversation and you're trying to undermine somebody's point and you say, well, what about you? You do this. You've engaged in tu quoque. You've engaged in fallacious behavior. There is no argument that can be had in the realm of tu quoque that's valid. Because when you do that, all you're doing is saying, look at you, you're a hypocrite, but you haven't pointed out if they're wrong. The only time this is actually useful is when you are specifically trying to prove hypocrisy, and only when you're trying to prove hypocrisy. But it doesn't make any statement of yours correct. And even then, if you're trying to prove hypocrisy, it needs to be to a certain end. This is where we get into the other side of this, especially that the video shows up. This is where we get into category errors. A category error is when you have said something that you think has something to do with the conversation, but it's not part of it in any way, shape, or form. Also, Dark Crystal, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an oh whoa. So, EG Republicans having abortions, their mistress child having an abortion. Yep. A good example of a category error is like saying the number 2 is blue. The descriptor of color is categorically not part of any descriptor where numbers are concerned. The theory of relativity is eating breakfast. This is another way that you can have a category error. Because the theory of relativity cannot eat. A concept cannot consume. And it seems easy, but if we relate it to the conversation, when the woman is trying to say, like, hey, you support Ukraine, the ways we support Ukraine are by sending munitions and aid, why don't you support us? the ways in which you would support one group or a different group are completely separate. They have nothing to do with one another. They are in separate categories per the term. But can a concept hold water? Only if you use the idea of holding water, like the figure of speech, but it can't physically hold water. An idea can hold water in the sense that it can be valid and useful, which is what the term holding water means. But it can't hold water in the sense that I can't think of a recipe for a Magic the Gathering deck and then pour water on that idea, literally, and have anything happen. Only in the disc world. Well, the general theory relatively did eat my brain for breakfast when I first studied it. So, I mean, again, there we are. 2 could be blue. I mean, the HTML color is technically just a really dark blue. And now we're getting into semantic pedantic stuff, which, to be fair, is most of my channel. But I wanted to look at that video because it was a prime example of those two disparate concepts. It just feels really weird to try to cling on to being anti-vax because country got ballistic missiles. When you word it that way, it sounds kind of ludicrous to me. But anyway, to be fair, if you did that, your deck would be a blue deck. Lady Mage, get out of here. Blue players are evil. Blue players are morally repugnant. I say this as a player who plays blue in decks, but Civic players are fine. Blue players are morally repugnant. You disagree? That would be blue 2. It's a 2 used to describe blue. And you're a blues clue. Go get a paw print somewhere. Anyways, do you guys have any really, really interesting examples of category errors? Really anything like that? Or arguments where somebody engaged in too quick way and maybe realized that, oh shit, I just realized I'm fucking up. I'm not supposed to be doing this. Talking about the skeletons in your closet does not magically get rid of the skeletons in mine. If you got any examples of that, let me know in the comment section below. But as always, everybody, I know this was a short one, not a whole lot of meat on the bone, but we will have more episodes coming out. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.